This is an overview video of the new Fitgenes Genetic Blueprint. I'm Dr. Sam Shay DC, functional medicine practitioner with the Institute for Functional Medicine and Fitgenes practitioner since 2016, and the creator of the Fitgenes Genetic Blueprint. The entire intention of the Fitgenes Genetic Blueprint was to distill and simplify all the interpretation and streamline all the implementation for you and your clients using Fitgenes. And this takes the most important genes from Fitgenes' health and well-being panel, food choice, diet and behavior, active choice, immune health, and puts it all together into one document, making it easy to understand and also simplified so that you have the most important things to do and summarized up at the top, and to make every gene and most important gene and gene cluster summarized into a beautiful, simple, easy to understand report that you can hand to your clients, and makes interpretation so much faster and easier. So in brief, this is the Fitgenes Genetic Blueprint. This is a welcome page, a disclaimer page, and then we have the table of contents. The table of contents is where you can see everything distilled down, and you can fast travel by clicking on all these different parts. We have Start Here, Quick Wins, which is the most important section of the entire report, where you will see the summary of diet, supplements, exercise into one single page for your clients. Then there's a section on introducing what is functional genetics, and what is genetics, why are we doing this, what is epigenetics, and then we have distilled down the food choice report into the trigger food section, the diet and behavior report to rewiring your eating behavior, active choice into the exercise section, the most important parts of the immunity support of immune health into the immune profile, and then the different sections of the health and well-being, and complete with a summary, including the executive grid of the top 40 or so most important genes of the health and well-being panel, and then some broader insights and a summary. And the intent is to make this so easy and efficient for you, the practitioner, to make delivering and implementing genetics to your clients, make it just so much easier and more efficient. So here we're going to start with the summary, and this is the one-page summary of quick wins. Here you have it. This is an actual report. So this person needs an elimination diet that's lower histamine, low-no caffeine, low-no alcohol, potentially low salt, mindful eating, anti-inflammatory, and no gluten. Now, this is all keyed off of very specific parts of the different subreports. The elimination diet came off of this person as a yellow dot in the allergy sensitivity genes, food intolerance genes in the food choice report. The histamine, the yellow dot, an aggregate of the histamine genes in the food choice. Yellow dot based on the genes that were in the food choice report for caffeine. Same thing with alcohol. Same situation around salt genes. Mindful eating was the satiety genes in the diet and behavior. Anti-inflammatory diet was based on what the based on a weighted average of their inflammatory genes, and the yellow dot in gluten was based on the gluten genes in the food choice. We have the prioritized supplements here. This is based off of the executive summary, taking into account the most important genes in the health and well-being panel. This is the top 40 genes, the ones on inflammation, free radical damage, liver detox, vitamin D receptors, and methylation, and put in the order of priority based on which of these supplements affect the most number of this client's red and yellow genes. And then because they had a red or yellow dot in the histamine, they also had antihistamine nutrients recommended. You'll note that this is just the ingredients, because this is what the science shows, and you, the practitioner, can choose which companies and which products you can use to fulfill sulforaphane, omega-3s, vitamin D, SOD inducers, and so on. Then we have the section on their on their exercise. So we've got their fiber type, the quality of their collagen genetically, and if they're at risk of exercise-induced inflammation and muscle injury, and a very important summary section on hydration, because one of the best ways that anyone can reduce their inflammation, especially if they start taking high-quality nutrients, to get better if they start taking high-quality nutrients, to improve their hydration, because if they don't, then they're at risk of dehydrating if they're taking high-quality nutrients. So you have right away, slide 6, you have the distillation of what to do with your clients. Additionally, there's a sample low histamine and elimination diet available to you that you can, that link is clickable, that is easy for you and your clients to click and to see what a sample low histamine elimination diet looks like. Then we have the rest of the summary. We have quick wins. It's just a larger slide of the diet. Personalized supplement protocol with recommendations to work with your practitioner. That's you. And recommendations to drink more fluids. Here's a water chart based on body weight, whether it's pounds or kgs, and a recommendation for 20% more water if people are doing heavy activity, sweating a lot, living in high altitude or high temperatures. And then keying off of these genes right here, what you'll see is there is a slide on their exercise and recovery. So this is one slide devoted to the actin-3 gene that's related to what type of fiber type they have, which explains the science on the left, practical recommendations for exercise on the right. And then this is this person's collagen components. This is a red dot summary. They have a red dot summary of their two major collagen genes and a yellow dot of the four main inflammatory genes as it relates to exercise-induced inflammation and muscle injury. And then recommendations that you can guide your clients with on what to do based off of what combination genes they have. And then we go into this really easy introductory section, which shows very easy to explain what is a gene. It's a recipe, how we get the green and yellow and red dots, that these gene variations are basically recipes. Green dot is the good recipe, yellow dot is not a good recipe, red dots are really not good recipe. Then the difference between if someone has the same genes, they have two different lifestyles. One will have a healthy outcome, one will have a healthy outcome. And this is good news because this means we have some agency over how our genes express. Another summary of the green, yellow, and red dot, and then how to read the report. And this page explains the structure of how the reports, the pages are written. What I've done is put together the genes, the most important genes, and have the dots indicated what they are, and then what subreport it was pulled from, and then how it's been renamed. So active choice in this report is called the optimal exercise and recovery because I prefer to call the section by what it does as opposed to the brand name. But the brand name is here in case you need to or your client wants to go back to the original subreport that it was drawn from. And then all the explanations are here. And then this is a key of the section, understand your trigger foods is food choice, rewiring your eating behaviors is diet and behavior, optimal exercise and recovery is active choice, etc., etc., etc. Achieve your natural weight is the health and well-being panel. So then we go, and then we can jump to some examples, like this is the gluten page, explaining this person's a yellow dot in gluten and what to do. This person's a green dot functionally in lactose and what that means, with a note that individuals with it, this is functionally what it means. They can have a yellow dot genetically because all you need in this case is one gene of the LCT. You can have a yellow dot because there's one version of the gene that actually makes the enzyme. So a yellow dot, you'll see, is functionally a green dot. Alcohol is person's an orange, yellow, and then what to do. Caffeine, describes what to do, and then taking the chart from the addendum in the food choice. Big explanation on salt and blood pressure and how there's about 12 or so different things that influence blood pressure and what to do if people are concerned. Also with the note that people who have a red dot or yellow dot in salt may not necessarily have high blood pressure, but they may be at risk of water retention. And then explanations on how to improve, how to monitor blood pressure. Then a page on histamine intolerance, and then a page on food allergens. And you may be wondering, well, there's more than one gene here. Exactly. Here is, at the end of each section, is a list of the genes that were tested. And what you're seeing in these summaries is a weighted average of these dots to indicate what functionally this person is. So instead of you taking all of this time to try to go through every individual green and yellow red dot of, say, histamine, you can look at this and see that this person's a yellow, a red, and 2 greens, and the weighted average comes out to yellow. So it makes it much easier to explain to your clients. On balance, you would think of yourself as a yellow dot in total, on average, a weighted average as histamine, yellow dot in histamine, and then you just act accordingly. And this is true for all the different sections. This is the rewiring your eating behaviors. At the end of the rewiring your eating behaviors, there's the summary panel here. And as you can see in the eating behaviors, here's the slide on satiety. 1 page, what it means, what to do. Bitter taste perception, what it means. Bitter actually has 3 slides because some people may be already, there's ways you can cook in a way to mitigate the taste of bitter, and explaining why certain people, other reasons, nuances around bitter taste perception. Here's a sweet taste perception slide, what it means, what to do. Sugar consumption, what it means, what you can do. Fat taste perception, a slide on what are good fats, how to protect your fats, a slide on the your response to fat intake. Here's the slide on those genes. Exercise section. Here is the slide on the fiber type, which is shown up in the summary as well. VO2 max and aerobic capacity, injury risk, movement, the genes that were tested. And then from the immunity panel, the sections that were pulled out were the vitamin D synthesis, VDR receptors, zinc metabolism, and vitamin C. The other sections in the immunity panel were not included in the Fitgenes Genetic Blueprint because in almost every single case I've ever seen, the recommendations in the immune health followed almost perfectly the recommendations that came out of the executive summary of the Health and Wellbeing Blueprint. So to save a whole bunch of time and space, we're just incorporating the stuff from the Health and Wellbeing panel and pulling out the vitamin C, zinc, and vitamin D portion of the immune health. So, and these were the genes that were tested. Then we're coming into the health and well-being genes, and divide this into multiple sections. First is the inflammation. Then we're showing their global trend of the red and yellow dots. And breaking it into initiation, propagation, and extinguishing. And then these are the gene variations. And what to do has already been covered all the way back up in page 6 here, is that if they follow these recommendations here, especially on the supplements, they're going to do so much to reduce the genes that are showing up here. And then we also have the summary. What I've done is I've distilled the executive summary further down if you're wanting even more recommendations. The intention is that summary page is where to start. This is the 1 page, and that can be weeks, months of implementation support for your clients, depending on where they're at in their health journey. And then if you want even more nuance, there's additional recommendations based on the Health and Wellbeing panel further down, which I'll show you in a minute. Then we come to cellular defense. And so this is talking about the most important gene, which is MN SOD, who I call Mr. SOD, the head janitor. And then liver detox capacity, they're a yellow dot. Estrogen clearance was included, as well as inflammation of the liver pathway, or HO1. This is an important slide on the sources of exogenous and internally circulating excess levels of estrogen. This is important, depends on the client you've got. And then these are the genes that were run. This is straight out of the Health and Wellbeing panel, the free radical damage and the cellular and the liver detox genes. Then we come to the section on methylation, and with a really strong explanation that methylation is downstream of inflammation, liver detox, and vitamin D receptors. So yes, methylation is important, but not as important as people in the podcastosphere and people think it is, because it's downstream. And the most important thing to know is that if you work on the genes above, it will help the genes below. In this case, the genes above are inflammation, free radicals, liver detox, vitamin D receptors. Of course, you can always add in extra support for methylation, whether it's choline or glycine or additional types of B vitamins, etc., but the whole philosophy of Fitgenes based on the science is that help the genes above to influence the genes below. Methylation is downstream. So there's methylation. We have the neurotransmitter slides. This person's a green dot, with only the recommendations that support both are put here or are shown to be benign for the other, because there's recommendations in MAOA1 and MAOA2 in Pracware that are helpful for one but counterproductive for the other. So only the recommendations that are supportive of both of whatever gene combinations are put here. And then cardiovascular health, we have the summary of their blood pressure. This person's a summary yellow dot in both blood pressure and vessel integrity. The APOE genes are now put on one slide to explain, well, you look here, this is their normal risk because they're green-red, and you've got green-red right here. This is just taken straight out of the report, and these are the things you can do, and these are the disclaimers and the references. APOE is very big right now, and so it's just easiest to put the nerdy stuff on one slide, but the most important thing is listed right there. Makes it really easy. Same thing with the LPA genes, what their result is and what they can do. And again, these are all what you do upstream helps these genes are downstream. And these are the genes that were tested. As you can see, the weighted average here, blood pressure, vascular tone, yellow dot. So it makes it real easy to talk with your clients. Fat and energy metabolism, again, same thing. We've summarized the different genes into what their weighted average is, and here's the different gene results, and that's the weighted average for this person. Then we go into the summary of the most important genes, and this is where we explain the executive summary. And just as a reminder, this is how the executive summary was come to, based on the most important 40 genes of the inflammation, the 15, 16 inflammatory genes, the three free radical scavenging genes, the 7, sometimes 8, these are the 15, 16 of anti-inflammatory genes, the 3 free radical scavenging genes, and then we've got the 7, sometimes 8, depending on the gene array and what country you're in, the liver detox genes, the VDR genes, and then the 12 methylation genes. And these are the top 40 genes, and what we're looking at is, of these top 40 genes, how many are red and yellow dots, and that is already done for you. This person has 28 out of their top 40 genes are red and yellow dots. This is pre-calculated for you right there. 28 out of the most important 40 genes. Some reports have 39 genes, some reports may have 41, depending on certain nuances of the lab. And it's auto-calculated. If it's 39, it'll say 39. If it's 41, it'll say 41. It'll say 40, say 40. It's auto-calculated. And then the executive summary is already put together for you, and then also color-coded, in the sense that these are the top 10 or so most important lifestyle and diet nutrition recommendations, and the next 10 and the next 10 in rank order of the number of genes that have peer-reviewed papers research done on humans to show that this recommendation influences the red and yellow dot to behave more green-like. So sulforaphane helps 16 out of the 28 most important red and yellow dots. That's well over half. Avoiding smoking and air pollution helps 14 out of the 28, or exactly half. And as you can see, just goes straight down the list. But sulforaphane's already mentioned up in the top supplements. Then you've got omega-3s, then vitamin D, then SOD inducers. And because they have a yellow dot, histamine nutrients are put right in there. And if you need more things for them to do in order of priority, this slide already has them listed. And then this page shows the most important genetic supplement ingredients in order of priority. But the top 5 were put at the very beginning because most clients will feel overwhelmed if they say 15. But you can, so that's why the top 5 are listed up top. But if you want the full list in order of priority, here they are. And then how to increase more fiber from vegetables, because almost everyone has a high fiber intake to help all the genes up here. Then we've got then there's increased fiber vegetables. Then there's a broader health insight, so a section on the importance of having breakfast, whether protein in breakfast, whether it's food or a high quality protein powder that you recommend. Recommendations around sleep, and then a comment called metabolic barbed wire. This is a term I developed that if your clients are have their genetics and they're doing the lifestyle recommendations diligently and they hit a plateau, then that may be a sign that they may need functional testing. For example, if someone has a candida infection and they may be genetically want to eat more carbs, say from their carb choice advanced report, eating carbs may be healthier for them genetically, but was counterproductive for them because of the infection. So the infection is the metabolic barbed wire in this case. So you'd want to run testing to figure out what's going on. Maybe they have a candida infection, or if they're genetically more suited for a keto diet or paleo diet based on their carb choice advanced test, then but they have a problem with their gallbladder or their pancreatic lipase or their carnitine shuttle or their mitochondria. They can't burn fat properly. That's the metabolic barbed wire. They may do better on a higher fat diet genetically, but can't process it metabolically. So you need to do functional testing like gut testing or mitochondria testing to see what is actually needed to actually defang that barbed wire. Then they can return back to their genetics testing recommendations and move forward and progress from there. Then we've got a summary page. This is a single visual on their different dietary recommendations based on their food triggers, diet behavior, and the health and well-being executive report. This is another summary in the form of a grid, and then we have the final slide. So this is the review, very quick review of the Fitgenes Genetic Blueprint. This can cut your interpretation time from hours down to minutes because it is so straightforward, so easy to read, very clearly organized, and most importantly, prioritized. And this is the most important page. You can spend half of your entire report of findings just on this page and get them started and just make it really, really easy. There are other training videos on how to go over this report in long form, even me doing this with a real person in their real report, that you can use that as a model, and additional training videos as well as in the training library. So welcome to the Fitgenes Genetic Blueprint. This will make your ability to share genetics effectively and efficiently in your practice so much easier. I've spent years putting this together, and I'm so happy it's now available to you.